All right, hey fans, it's Daniel and Shane once again for another podcast for you guys. Today we'll be talking about the trades and the trade rumors that have been happening in baseball.
Trade deadline's only a week away.
That's right. The trade deadline is a week away on the 31st of July. First, we're going to start off with some minor trade. Barry Enright got traded to the Angels, and he'll be starting the AAA system. And it'll be for a player to be named or cash considerations. So not much. Another, I guess, a big name trade now is Ichiro Suzuki was traded to the Yankees for DJ Mitchell and Danny Farquhar. Now, Danny Farquhar and DJ Mitchell aren't very good prospects.
They're solid. They're nothing to write home about, but they could turn out well.
Right. They're saying that I believe it's DJ Mitchell is at best a number 5 starter, at worst never going to make it. But it's one of those things, a big name is on the move, really wants to chase that ring. Good for him, but who knows how that'll work out. Next, I want to go to a trade that happened a long time ago. Well, it feels like a long time ago. Kevin Youkilis got traded from the Red Sox to the White Sox for Brent Lillibridge and Zach Stewart. Big trade. Youkilis is doing really well with them. Next, I want to talk about Brent Lillibridge. Then, actually, today got traded from the Red Sox to the Indians for Jose De La Torre. They're saying that Lillibridge will probably join the Indians roster when he gets there. After that, I want to talk about not after that. Next, I want to talk about Carlos Lee going from the Astros to the Marlins. The Marlins gave up 2 big prospects, Matt Dominguez and Rob Rasmussen, for him, and everyone thought they were going to be in the race and everything like that. And then next thing you know, you get this news from yesterday that Anibal Sanchez and Omar Infante then got traded to the Tigers for Rob Brantley, who will be an everyday catcher soon. Quote me on that. And Brian Flynn, who is a double-A reliever. And then the number 1 prospect in the Tigers organization and the number 10 overall prospect in all of baseball with Jacob Turner. Now, he's made a couple of starts this year. And now, Shane, what are the trade rumors?
Some of the trade rumors. Well, first, before the trade rumors, let me talk about some of the trade rumors that were going on earlier that have basically been squashed.
Right.
Chase Headley of the San Diego Padres. Still, I guess there's an outside shot he's going to move. Most GMs around baseball and most scouts are saying the price that the Padres are putting on his head is a little bit too high, which makes sense. He's a good player. He's a young guy. They don't want to give him up for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The Marlins, people were talking about now that they look like movers, that they might get rid of Josh Johnson. He's having a pretty poor year.
Yeah, poor year.
But, he'd still be, people might still want him for his future, including the Marlins. So it looks like they're not going to trade him yet. They're going to see how he pans out. Also, Carlos Quentin was another big Padres player that everyone thought was going to be on the move, but the Padres signed him to an extension.
3 years, $27 million.
There we go. And they have new ownership coming in, should be by the end of the season, if not sometime next year. So it kind of makes sense. Maybe they're using Carlos Quentin as a veteran guy to build the team around. He's kind of a veteran now.
Yeah, kind of a veteran, yeah.
When he's playing.
Exactly.
Justin Upton was being talked about being moved. Doesn't look like the Diamondbacks are going to do that one either. They're going to wait at least till the season ends to trade him, so that's probably not going to happen within the next week. Only team that was seriously talking about giving people up was the Pirates. Maybe. Mm-hmm. They would have had to give up some pretty big pitching prospects. So
very big.
That's most likely not going to happen. Next up, a big trade rumor that might still have a shot at happening sometime within the next 7 days. Zach Greinke of the Milwaukee Brewers, formerly a Cy Young winner, I believe, of the Kansas City Royals.
Right.
Once again, that's another one that a couple teams are in on him. No one is making an aggressive bid. The biggest thing that I've heard so far is possibly Gavin Floyd of the White Sox being traded for some prospects. Then those prospects would go to the White Sox and they'd get flipped for Zach Greinke. Probably not going to happen.
Right.
But, that's something to watch over the next 7 days. Carl Crawford of the Red Sox. The Red Sox they're kind of in selling mode, but at the same time in a tight AL East that anything can happen, and especially with 2 wild cards.
Especially, they're close in the wild card still.
So with the Marlins being the sellers that it looks like they are now, there's talks that Heath Bell, the closer, ex-closer of the Padres, and Hanley Ramirez would be leaving Miami, heading to Boston for Carl Crawford. One of those that I don't see happening, because if the Marlins are really sellers, they wouldn't be trading for a guy like Carl Crawford. But you never know. He's a good hitter when he's playing well.
Right, and he's not healthy yet, and he's still not healthy this year.
So I could see it happening. I don't think it will, but
Also, I think a big thing that people won't see is I think the Red Sox will actually eat up a lot of Carl Crawford's contract if that's a good trade or if that's a trade.
They've been known to do that.
Yeah, and formally actually in the Josh Beckett trade for to the Marlins to the Red Sox, Hanley Ramirez was in that trade, so he'd almost be coming back home because that was the one he grew up. That was the farm system he grew up with.
That was a nice little nugget from Daniel.
Thank you.
Finally, the big trade that we're going to be talking about is Ryan Dempster.
Very big.
Right now, there has been a trade that has been agreed on by the two teams, the Braves and the Cubs, talking about flipping a couple prospects for Ryan Dempster. But there's one big roadblock there. Let me get into teacher mode for just a half a second. There's something that players have called 10-5 rights. Now, that's when a player has played in the league for 10 years and with the same team for the past 5. And that basically is an automatic no-trade clause. And you hear about a lot of big-name guys who put no-trade clauses in their contracts because they don't want to they want to have some say in the thing.
A la Carlos Lee.
Yes, exactly. Carlos Lee had a no-trade clause. He actually had 10-5 rights too, but he waived his 10-5 rights to make a very specific no-trade to certain teams.
Right.
And obviously ended up in Miami, so it worked out well for him. Ryan Dempster, though, with his 10-5 rights, he has the ability to pick and choose what team he wants to go to. So the early talks and the early signs were that Ryan Dempster was going to end up in L.A.
Right.
Dodgers were interested.
Dempster was interested.
And the Cubs were somewhat interested. They wanted to see what they could get. Now, the big-name prospect that the Dodgers have, and basically they don't have a very deep farm system, their major trading chip is Zach Lee. He's a real good pitcher. Could have been quarterback at LSU, but he decided to play baseball. And that's their Dodgers' big trading chip. The only thing is they don't want to trade him for a guy like Dempster because Dempster has basically said, I want to go back to Chicago. I just want to run at a title. Right, so they're basically the Dodgers don't, and this is a quote from Ned Colletti, GM of the Dodgers. He says, we don't want to give up Zach Lee for a rental because they're basically renting Dempster for the end of the season.
That's a really good point.
And the thing is, this Braves trade that's on the table now, Dempster came out and said that his top two teams were the Dodgers and the Braves. Braves number 2.
Dodgers being 1, yes.
But the thing is, now that this Braves trade, and it's kind of funny, Dempster has come out and said, I want to play in LA.
And I think it's almost because the coverage of the trade with Dempster going to the Braves and how it was almost the media almost blew it up almost, and I feel like Dempster really was in the blue almost about it and like didn't know anything about what was going on. And he's like, next thing you know, like, oh yeah, you got traded to the Braves, and you're like, whoa, like
he was upset.
Yeah, he was upset because he wasn't really sure about what was going on.
And the thing is, if you're Ryan Dempster and you're getting up there in age and you're having a great season, and you want to go to a contending team.
Top ERA in the NL.
Braves are a great team. The NL East is a fairly above average division, especially this year. Phillies, with their full lineup, are starting to look a little bit better.
Nationals.
So yeah, Nationals are obviously amazing. Marlins are going to be traders now, but
yeah, but still, it's still some good teams in that division. And
you have no guarantee of making the playoffs in that division. Whereas in the NL West, it's a weaker division. Obviously, the Dodgers are in second right now to the Giants, but at the same time, Dempster could be that extra piece.
Yeah, and it's more of a 2-team race, though. So it's not like I'm not going to say they're easy wins because winning an MLB game is kind of tough. But
yeah, no
I mean, you're going to play the Padres and you're going to play the Rockies, who are Rockies having a down year. Padres
and the Diamondbacks are having a down year. They looked like for a little bit they looked like they were going to be on the upswing, and they are a team who has the potential. But at the same time, if you're Ryan Dempster, you're going to be facing some weaker teams going down. And even when you look at the Giants roster, the Giants are based on pitching.
Yes, very much.
You look at their roster, obviously Melky Cabrera is a great hitter, Buster Posey, Pablo Sandoval.
That's about it.
That's about it.
If the Dodgers can match the Giants with their pitching, which I think Ryan Dempster will help with if he doesn't actually solve everything, then I believe the Dodgers can leapfrog the Giants once again. But that's one of those things where they need that extra piece. I mean, I know they have Matt Kemp back and they have Andre Ethier back and healthy, but it's still they're still going to need something else.
An interesting fact about the 10-5 rights, because Dempster has him, if right now that, like I said, the Braves trade is on the table, if Dempster declines that, the Dodgers will not have to give up Lee to get him. The Dodgers will say, who else is here? The Dodgers will go to the Cubs and say, we offered you 2 prospects, which the Dodgers did.
Right.
The Cubs said that's not enough. They went to the Braves. The Braves offered him a lot, and they said, here, take Dempster. Dempster's like,
Yeah, it's like they're
I'm
almost
not down.
they're almost gonna like lowball him. I don't know if you ever heard that term, but like they're gonna lowball him. I doubt that'll happen. Maybe he won't get a trade at all. Who knows about that?
He's definitely getting traded.
We'll see.
It's whether he's weighing his options. You know, he could still a couple days from now decide that the Braves trade is good for him,
Right.
and if the Braves come and talk to him, then who knows. But something to note before we sign out: when the Cubs went to the Braves for a trade, the Dodgers shut the door on it. Just now being reported that the Dodgers and the Cubs are back in trade talks. So it looks like I'd still put the Dodgers in favorites, and that's not just me because I'm wearing the hat. I'd still put them as favorites to Lane Dempster. He wants to play in LA.
As a rental player. Leave in the comments below what you think. Some trade talks, some trades maybe back in the past. That are big, that are paying out for both teams, maybe one team. Let us know what you think, and have a good day, guys. Bye.
See you in 7 days.